Hey everyone, welcome to Get Unruly. This is Kim Belucci, your host, and this week Frankie Russo is my guest. Frankie is an entrepreneur with a proven track record for using innovative methods to unlock rapid growth and competitive advantage. His keynotes and masterclass experiences are full of actionable insights for fostering a culture of authenticity, imagination, and generosity to unlock breakthrough innovation, extraordinary transformation, and to keep growth going. Plus, he's just an amazing human.
Frankie, I am so beyond excited to have you on the podcast. When you said yes, my entire week got better. Thank you for being here, friend.
All right. Well, that's no pressure right there. Hope I don't let you down, but at least you had a good week in case this goes sideways.
Yeah, it won't go sideways. So, funny story you don't know. When I started speaking and I went to my first event, I was so nervous and I didn't know anybody and I was feeling completely out of sorts.
Mhm.
And I said to one person, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here and I don't know what is going on and I don't know who to go to for help. And he said, "Do you see that guy over there?" And he pointed to you. And he said, "That's Frankie Russo. You need to talk to him. You just need to talk to him. He's the best. He will help you. He will tell you whatever you need to know. Go talk to him." True
Okay.
story.
I
And I
know
was
that
like,
was where this story was going. Okay.
yeah. And so I found you at the next break outside and
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
help. I need help. And you were so unbelievably generous, just instantly interested and engaging and generous. And you didn't know me from anybody. And I think there was maybe even a line of people waiting to talk to you. Um,
Wow.
but seriously, one of the things I really want to talk to you about today is that generosity because in the speaking world, particularly, it's
Mm,
incredibly busy and it's
mhm,
competitive. And,
mhm,
people like to say that they're generous and it's a community and everybody's helpful. And I think that a lot of people would like to be, but
mhm.
you actually are. And there's not a bone of scarcity in your body. So, and I find that to be
And
really,
you're making me tear up over here.
well, it's true. And I find that to be really unruly because that's not the norm.
Mm.
So, tell me about where that comes from.
Oh, I like this topic. Okay. So it comes from when I was 5 years old. We packed up from Louisiana and my parents moved us to Pittsburgh. And from then till I was 18, we served in homeless shelters
Mm.
full time. That was what we did. So I am a purebred, I guess, missionary at heart. And that's the facts. So I have this deep need. I don't know if it's a need. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's a deep sense of like ingrained purpose of helping people that ask for help. So I want to get this out of the way early in the conversation. Part of the reason I can be so generous is because I only help people that ask. This is a very, very, very important thing that so many people that try to help everyone and they have this amazing heart and they burn out and then they stop. It's because if you go back and you look at who you were helping, a lot of times we were doing a lot of helping and they didn't ask. So this is especially, so I work a lot with codependent people. Okay. I'm a codependent myself. Codependency is not what most people think. You think it's, somebody that's in this abusive relationship that they can't escape and like, they just keep taking it and it's this abusive guy, blah, blah, blah. It's way more than that. It's in fact the only requirement for membership of codependency is a desire for loving and healthy relationships. So if someone has a heart to help other people and they're asking me for help on how they can help other people, I'm all in. I'm all in because what I have found is a couple things. So first things first, like you asked.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a big deal. Why do I do it? It's twofold on why I do it. Okay. Well, it's really threefold. The first fold is what I told you. It's ingrained into my childhood, like helping the poor, helping people really in need. Okay. That's number one. So it's ingrained. So I have a special upbringing that most people didn't have. Now, that upbringing also was difficult because we were also poor. So when you help the homeless, you're one notch above homeless. So I ran from that for a while. And I ran into money and ran into mortgages, which is And the mortgages we were doing were creating homeless people. So that's a whole nother story we can get into later if you want. But in reality, that's number one, is that it's ingrained in a way that like not everybody has that experience as a child. So that's number one. Number two, I have seen the long game of abundance and giving without expecting anything in return. I've seen that pay out. So in my mind, you've got to pick a lane. Either lane, you can become successful and wealthy. Now, after success and wealth, I can't make any promises. But if you're looking for success and wealth, you have two lanes: radical scarcity and closeness, or radical openness and generosity. Those are your two lanes if you want wealth and success. Now, if you're looking for wealth, success, freedom, acceptance, serenity, and hope, and some other things like joy, then you're going to have to go the other route. You're not going to go the scarcity route. And
You're going to go
that's,
abundance route.
yeah. And so I have played the tape out. So abundance is a strategy. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Now, even with the first two deep inside and like ingrained into my DNA, it was still not enough. I still was missing some of these pieces because the real gold of generosity and abundance is genuinely expecting nothing in return. That's the true gold. Now, that's difficult when you have 6 kids and multiple businesses, 2 wives, and God knows what else. I've got 99 problems, and it's like, what? So as an adult, I lost this thing for a while. So what got me to the third one, and this is the real gold I have uncovered in this world, was actually drugs and alcohol. So drugs and alcohol brought me to a bottom. In fact, Saturday, in 2 days, this is a recording, but April 12th will make 17 years from the moment I'm about to tell you about. 17 years for no drugs, no alcohol. And the thing about drugs and alcohol, first off, is that like they're fucking great. They're not a problem, they're a solution. Drugs and alcohol are a solution. Okay. And they're great. If you drink, you do drugs, all for it. I'm here for it. Okay. Wish I could. But at some point, if you're like me and you do things radically or to extremes, you will hit a bottom. I hit a bottom and I stayed at that bottom long enough for it to stick. See, I went on this journey for 10 years after getting out of the homeless shelter deal into only having one objective, and that was wealth and success and money. That was it. And when that's your only objective, that is a very, very dangerous place to be, especially as a young person. And I accomplished it. And I was a shell. And drugs and money had become my God. I'd lost everything that I had when I was a kid. I didn't know where the fuck I was. So that brought me to this crossroads. Now, what I didn't know at the time, and a lot of people don't know this, is that getting sober and staying sober are two very, very different things. A lot of people get sober, but it's a much smaller fraction of people that stay sober. And there's only one reason that happens. You can call it all kinds of stuff, medicine, rehabs, different steps, blah, blah, blah. But there's one common denominator of every single person that has long-term sobriety. And that is that at some point early on in their sobriety, they flipped from being the suffering drug addict or alcoholic to being the person that's helping the drug addict and alcoholic.
Wow.
It was crucial for me, and it fit because I had been looking for a way to not have to be full-blown in Africa or full-blown in a inner city missions, but I also wanted to like be in business and I wanted to make money, and I couldn't put it together, and I finally found it. I found this place where I could help poor people 4 or 5 times a week while I had a career, and I thought, I found it. I freaking found it. And to a degree, I did. Now that has matured to where it is now, where like now I've gone even deeper into this calling, where I've come full circle and found a way to live out my mission, which is what I'm doing now, without having to take donations from donors, which was the only way we made money before. And that was part of the issue. Okay. So without getting into all those details, at the end of the day, I had finally found a way to scratch that itch again. Like I had a purpose again because I was helping other drug addicts and alcoholics. Now, here's the kicker. So the thing about drugs and alcohol, if you're a drug addict, you're an alcoholic, and some people listening might be wondering if they are, or some of you might know you are. Either way, you never stop loving drugs and alcohol for the main reason that you like the effects of it. So we drink, we do drugs because we like the effects of it. Okay. And that's why I do. And I will never, have never lose that want to have something that gives me an effect. So here's the third piece. In my journey to find the perfect drug, the perfect high, the perfect arc of like whatever, I finally found what I call the limitless drug. So the third component to a life of abundance is the limitless drug. And here's what it is. And I didn't know this till after years of doing this. So I'd already sponsored probably 300 guys in sobriety before I figured out that there was science behind what I was talking about. It's an actual science. In the 80s, they started studying this. It's called the helper's high. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of it.
Okay. So the helper's high, for those of you who don't know, is that there's a chemical that's released in the brain that's the same chemicals as drugs. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but it checks out because I've tested this shit a lot. The same chemicals that drugs and alcohol can release to the brain when you help someone unconditionally. Now, the hard part is that in this world, everything is so fucking conditional.
Right.
So you have to be actively choosing to make it unconditional. So that unconditional piece is the trade-off. So Kim, I've already been on the phone with 3 other people this morning, thought leaders that are trying to change the world, helping them change the world, and not for anything in return. Okay. Why? People are like, why do you do it? So like, yeah, upbringing. 2, I have an abundance mindset and I'm on a quest to reform capitalism with the new world of work. But don't bullshit a bullshitter. I do it because I want to get high. Straight the fuck up. I got to tell you that. Like, that's the key, is that I want the limitless drug. And this is the part that helps me because I'm not a saint. I'm not a saint. I'm not a priest. I'm not Mother Teresa. Do I like helping people? Yeah. Do I want people to get help? Yes. And I want to get high. So I'm upfront about that. And that's why it works, because it can take a selfish person like me and flip that selfishness into something useful. And that's all we can ask for.
I love that. And I mean, I would not characterize you as selfish at all. And I think it's so cool that you're so candid about what it does for you. Because I agree with you that the unconditionality of being in service is the most important, and it's also the most difficult. Like I remember teaching my kids.
By the way, the second I get paid, it's great because I got paid, but that's the payment. The
Right.
payment shifts.
Correct, because it becomes transactional.
Yes.
As opposed to unconditional. And I remember when my kids were little, teaching them hold the door. You hold the door because you want to hold the door, not because you're expecting a thank you.
Right.
And, seeing the pissed off face when someone would walk through and not say thank you, and trying to teach that lesson of you're holding it because you want to. And if you don't want to, then don't hold the fucking door, right? But it's that. And that's really hard for humans. We're conditioned, I think, to look for some kind of trade-off, even when we don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's really critical when you're looking at all this, is that the unconditional part is kind of hard to find. You have to find it. That's why I got excited about, like, so I got to Impact 11, which is where we met, and I didn't know how I was going to handle it. Because I was like, fuck, how am I going to handle this? I've already got all these sponsees. I've got all this stuff at home. I got the kids and all. I've got so many things. Where am I going to find space for this? And I'm going to tell you what happened. Early on, I made a decision to treat everybody at Impact 11. Anybody that asks, I decided that with this group, I was going to treat them the same as I would if somebody asked me to sponsor them or help them get sober.
Mm.
And that was it. And that's what I did. I brought that spirit I brought a spiritual program into the rooms of Impact 11. And that's what you witnessed. That's what you
Yeah.
felt. That's what you're seeing. It's that simple. And it's what I plan to do with the New World of Work. This New World of Work movement, I plan to borrow from some of the best things I've learned from that spiritual program to create a movement that's not for money, that's not organized, that I'm not the leader of, that can truly make a difference because you can't kill it. Because there's no LED screens, there's no conferences for ourselves. If we do a conference, it's for people. Like it's not, it's the movement that I honest to God thought I was signing up for when I did some of these. And look, it's all good. I love these other things, but they're businesses.
Correct.
And a business can't fix a business. It has to be something else. You know, I had a moment in 2020 before I sold my company. I was out on the mountains. I was at this like off the grid experiential therapy. It's called On Site. It's pretty incredible. And a lot of the work I do around Love Your Weird and the whole unlocking the genius inside each one of us being that 5, 6 year old, a lot of that work came from my divorce and on-site and the deep work that they do with reconnecting with your 5, 6 year old self. It's where the love your weird thing didn't come from some think tank trying to figure out a great brand or some crap. It came from being in deep experiential therapy, coming off of my divorce, realizing that I had lived in this weird. And that was years ago. I didn't even talk about it for 5 or 6 years, but I knew it was in there and it was so sacred. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to do what I normally do and like brand it or whatever. And something happens. This is like my third time doing this. This is like 3 years after the Love Your Weird lightning had struck. And I'm sitting on the mountain and I had this vision. And the vision showed me that the universe, whatever you want to call it, it created a thing that fit both of the needs I had. So I had this deep need to like not have to be in this financial insecurity that I felt as a child. That was the hard side of what we did. And it was for a good cause. But when my dad got kicked out of his own mission by the board because he didn't want to take government money, when I turned 18, it kind of put a bullet in all that. It's why I went so hard the other direction.
Yeah.
So I realized in that moment that like universe, God, whatever you want to call it, had allowed for me to spend the last 2 decades building a track record and equity in a company that I would sell the next year so that I could be self-supporting and I could do my work for this impact and helping reform a space that is the most important space to reform in America right now, which is capitalism. And to be able to do it self-supporting, it was two pieces because selling my company the next year allowed for me to be self-supporting, to build this new movement the way it needs to be built and not make any exceptions or compromises. But then the other part was I was allowed to do what I've done the last 20 years so that I fit the bill to be welcomed in.
Yep.
Okay. You and I have talked a lot about the concept of the Trojan horse.
Yep.
Those 2 decades gave me the Trojan horse to be able to be a person that genuinely could go into something like the matrix of capitalism and with the help of many of my friends on the same mission, collectively put a dent in that shift.
Absolutely. So I have a theory. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this. I'm listening to you talk about how you were positioned to do the incredible work that you do in the world. And what I truly believe is that when we know what we really, really want to do and we feel it in our bones,
Yeah,
that we are supported by the universe, however you want to call it. It's like
that's
as
right.
soon as we say, this is what I'm going to do, I feel this, I feel strongly about this, I know this is what I'm meant to do, things line up and we're
Yeah.
positioned to do that work.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I think it's true. But I do think it starts with a conviction.
Absolutely.
It starts with a conviction, and that conviction usually comes from a break. So my first book was called The Art of Why, and I realized years later that that's bullshit. There's no art to why. It's And so I wrote a follow-up book called Breaking Why. Because if you're finding your purpose and you're finding your why, it's a breaking, a rebuilding, a hacking, a messy process. Um, I wrote Art of Why before divorce. I wrote Breaking Why after divorce, if you're wondering. But anyway, the fact is that there has to be a conviction. That conviction does not happen without pain. It does not happen without failure. It does not happen without a lot of difficult, uncomfortable things. That is the fire that forges what we're talking about. But once you find that conviction that's unwavering and honest and true to you, regardless of anybody else, that creates a force that is in line with truth, that is outside of space and time. And that's the thing you're talking about. We just can describe it a lot of different ways and a lot of different cultures and people and countries and different perspectives try to explain this thing, this experience, this truth. And everyone explains it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unified in the sense that, like, yes, it will align if it's true. You know,
And does it always does it always come from some kind of pain or adverse experience?
I've thought a lot about this, and I would love to say that it doesn't. But I don't know that you can get there without some. It's the hard part about the first part of our lives before we experience it. Like, I mean, they told me don't write a book till you're 40. I was 35. I said, screw that, I'm writing it. And like, I hate the book. You know what I'm saying? If it didn't give me 2 bestsellers, I would have scorched the earth with it. Like, truth be told. Like, so if you're Googling me now, just skip the Art of Why and go to Breaking Why. But that's a fact. Like I wish I could tell you that failure and pain weren't part of how you evolve, but it's not. That's a lie. Like, think about evolution. Like, if you believe in evolution, I don't really care what you believe about. You Big Bang, it all happened in a moment. Like, whatever it was powerful, it was painful, and it was transformational. And we talk about evolution and transformation like as this fun fucking slogan for an event or some shit. Evolution is like legs trying to pop out of a fish. You know, hundreds of years and like grueling freaking like, what do you call that? Conditions. Like, careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
want to be someone that is transformational, you want to be someone that puts a dent in the universe, whatever the heck you think you want to do, know that process is proven to be a very, very messy, painful process. Careful what you wish for, you know? And, it's the reality. It's kind of like when Neo wakes up in the Matrix, okay? And you realize that the real world is this shitty space full of machines and porridge. And like, that's the real world. And like, there's this temptation to want to go back into the Matrix, but you can't. You can't unsee it. I talk about this with people. Like, the fact is, I can't unsee what I know, even if I wanted to. There's not enough drugs in this world that could make me unsee what I know. And I tried. And the fact is that for some reason I'm not dead. And here we are. So can you without some pain and some failure? I don't think so. Now, does that mean I have to keep doing the same one every time? No. And are my bottoms as deep as they used to be? No. But that's because I wake up every day, as hard as this is some days, and I eat change and embrace failure for breakfast. Okay, I've been doing that for a long time. I'm wired in a very weird way that allows for me to do that. Not everybody's that comfortable with it, but it is allowed for me. And as a result, I'm where I am, which is an interesting thing because I'm not going up. I'm not trying to go up. Okay. Honestly, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. And it's not about up and it's not about down. And it's not, the bottom is about realizing that failure is a gift. And because I mean, a big part of my work now is like people come to me because they want to know, how did you grow a company 60x in 3 years? Right? How did you become the fastest growing companies in America with 2 different companies, 2 different industries, 8 years in a row? right? That's why they think they're calling, and they are calling for that. But the fact is that, most people think it's about success. Like, I don't even talk about my accolades or my success or my awards or my accomplishment from the stage. Not one. After they read that intro to the stage, that's fucking it. That's the end of what you're hearing about my fucking successes. And that's because, like, success taught me fucking nothing. Nothing. Everything I learned was from failure. People think that growth, continuous, limitless growth comes from success. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Growth comes from failure.
I love that we're talking about this so much. And one of the reasons I love it is I love it for people who are thinking about their next level and thinking that it's supposed to be this, beautiful path of just, moving through the next thing. And it's so much more complicated than that. But I'm also loving it because I think about people who have kids. I have
Yeah.
kids, you have kids,
Yeah.
and there's a tendency in the world, really a tendency to protect everyone from pain and to
Mhm.
keep people from feeling anything bad and to sugarcoat everything and to find the silver lining. And listen, I was the queen of silver linings for a really long time. Like, I didn't even know how to sit with sadness. I had to learn that about a year ago, like how to sit and just be sad. Like, to be
Yeah.
an adult and have to learn that skill is embarrassing. But,
Not that easy.
it's not. It's freaking hard.
Yeah.
But when you're taught, like, you always have to find the good side, it's all okay, and
Yep.
it's not that bad to be able to sit here and say, listen, the gift is in those hard times. The gift is when it freaking sucks and when you don't know if you can take another step. The gift is
Yeah.
falling on your ass and learning something from it, and we're depriving an entire generation of the ability to do that, and I think
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
depriving ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Because we want comfort and we want pleasure. It's the American way. It's
Yeah.
the Western way. We want pleasure. And what I have found is that you can have pleasure, but you have to figure out where you're going to get it from. It goes back to the limitless drug. Okay. I want pleasure like the next person,
Same.
but I was finding it in the wrong places. The thing is that you don't have to always go to bottoms. If you're an adult, you're going to get one probably every 7 years. So if you're young and you're listening to this, just like write that down on a calendar somewhere. It's like every 7 years roughly, you're going to get one, and like start looking for it. And like I had one not that long ago where I transitioned full time into speaking from like my super cush cash cow that I sold, and then there was some golden handcuffs, and then that fell off last year, and a lot of people just fall off, and it's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And like, how am I gonna find my next gig or blah blah blah, and I just fucking skipped it. I skipped it because I prepared for that one. So you get better at preparing for these things, and then you start to realize that like failure is a myth and pain is a myth because it's so good on the other side of it that like when pain comes, you have to feel it. You can't ignore it. You embrace it. Because if you don't like pain, the fastest way to get away out of the pain is not to mute it, okay? Not to ignore it, not to be in denial about it, not to act like it doesn't exist, but to go ahead and feel it. Like the faster I feel it, figure out what was my part in all of this, and then recalibrate, the faster I'm going to get through this. And I don't have to feel the pain as long, but it's painful. Like I had to make adjustments, I had to make changes. Like that's the other thing. Like you don't just not change. If a lot of us are holding on to this idea, like practically speaking, I'm in one of our houses that I bought after I sold the company. It was so cool. It's like, man, bought a second home and it's on a lake and blah, blah, blah. Right. And I felt like this is a milestone for me, right? Was always poor, blah, blah, blah. And like, dude, like we're here this week to Airbnb the damn thing. Like I could have easily been like, you know what? No, I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to Airbnb this. What? I'm going to Airbnb my house, blah, blah, blah. Like that's what my ego wants to tell me is that like, no, You're Frankie fucking Russo. You don't need to Airbnb this shit. You're going to come out of this like blah, blah, blah. You don't need to make adjustments. Like you always come out on top. And that's how you get fucked up right there. That's how you get fucked up. I talked to a guy yesterday. His mind was like, dude, I needed to talk to you so bad. Oh my God, I've been paying so much money to therapists and all this other shit. And you just fucking changed it for me. And because he had 5 exits. He had 5 exits and he just got slammed. Lost $6 million, ironically, fighting the same company that I sold to. So we knew the same people and I knew what he was feeling. It was fucking dark. And I said, brother, I said, you want to get that 6 mil back? You ain't getting it from them. You lean into this shit because you lost that 6 mil because of your 5 exits. Straight up. You lost that $6 million because of your freaking accolades. And I could do the same right now. I could be like, what? What? Nobody tells me how to make something fast grow. That's how you get fucked up, is because of success. I mean, and it's over and over again. And so it's become my work. And I told him yesterday, I said, dude, this is your work, brother. And he was just like, oh my God. And he's going to fucking go out and change the world. Because look, he was the first Black of 4 different things. He's known for this stuff. He's plugged in. He's got all these exits. He's like, he's a badass man. And I'm only mentioning that he's Black because he was the first of some things, which was really great for him. And he's got an amazing credibility. And I'm like, you rest on that shit. You hold on to that tight and you're fucked. And that's what happens. We hold on tight to whatever the fucking success is. Like, no, you fucking humble yourself. You slaughter that. And I don't know how to slaughter that other than what I told you earlier is if I keep helping people, it keeps me out of, well, what's in it for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, whoa, this is no. Because I am on a one-track, one-trick pony train right now. And that is, I have one objective every morning. And that is to be of maximum usefulness to the people around me and maximum usefulness to my calling. That is it, full stop. Everything else is details. So if that means I got to Airbnb this fucking thing, we're Airbnb it. If I got to sell this thing, we're selling it. I don't give a shit because I'm not sitting here trying to prove to myself and the world that I'm the fucking man. Okay. And ironically, there are a lot of people out there that I have a deep, deep connection with that I'm genuinely helping, and they probably do think I'm the man, but not because I want them to think I'm the man or that I give a shit. And that's the irony of this life, is that the second we give up on all this bullshit we're chasing, we get it. Yeah. That's the irony. I'm not saying you got to live a life of poverty either, but like the focus matters, the objective, the motive, and the decisions we make and why we make them, it does matter.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's an interesting thing, right? Because the less attached you are to the outcome and just the more you are in that space of generosity, what I hear you saying is the more generous you are, the more in service you are, and the less you're attached to what's coming to you, the more it comes to you. And I see this over and over. I see evidence of this all the time. You know, when leaders,
universal.
Yeah, when leaders are like, I need to increase the bottom line and I want to hit the number on the spreadsheet and that's their focus, it's so painful, right? But when they're like, I want my people to be better. I want them to thrive. I want everyone to feel better here. How do we make that happen? How do we get more creativity and innovation and just like make life better for people? Guess what? You do that, you focus on making it better for people, and that bottom line goes through the roof when you're not even watching it. It's so counterintuitive though.
Yes, and that's the problem with business, is that you're chasing these outcomes, you're chasing these KPIs, you're chasing these OKRs. Mm-hmm. And this is the whole thesis of the new world of work, is like helping more of these people that are in power understand that you can have your outcomes, you can have your KPIs, you can have your OKRs. In fact, you can make those sustainable if you stop leaving so many dead bodies behind you.
Right.
Like that's the thesis. It's like, dude, we're missing it. Like, listen, it's where the whole like love your weird, unruly, the genius, all the stuff we talk about that we're on basically the same mission on, is that like, look, we are trying to help reform something that's broken because we think that all these little tips and tricks and like basically grinding and brute force are the solution to finish strong on the quarter. It's like, dude, just because it worked before doesn't mean that if we go harder on that same thing that it's going to work. Like that's not actually what happens. That's the quickest way to get disrupted. I've seen it over and over again. I've studied this stuff. I talk about this stuff. I've been it.
Yeah.
My company was demolished the day I got sober. I walked to work after driving a sports car for a year. Okay, like luckily for me, at 27, I got to learn that instead of 47 on CNBC. Okay, I got lucky that I failed. That was why early on I got the gift of knowing that, like, dude, failure is the shit. That's the shit.
I
You know
love
what I'm
it.
saying? It's like if you're out there, you're feeling failure, congratulations.
Yes. Yes. So if you want to give people one piece of advice, I know it's always hard to come up with one, but one way that people who are listening could genuinely go be in service
Mhm.
of each other today, right now. One way we could increase our connection and do number three, unconditionally just giving.
I don't ever tell people to try to solve a problem that they don't also have.
Mm,
Somebody came to me after a talk a couple weeks ago and they said, how do you help people be more creative? And I jumped straight to like, oh, it's curiosity and like giving yourself permission to have an imagination on like solving that problem. And she was like, no, 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 no. How do you know which problem to solve? I was like, oh, okay, that's different. So first of all, a lot of people out there, this was like an innovation summit for a Fortune 200, right? And what she was really asking was like, what company should I start? Or what industry should I go after? Or like, what tech should I build? I was like, first of all, never try to solve a problem, whether that's with tech, service, a business, whatever, or with your friend. Never try to solve a problem that you don't also have. That's the tip of the day. Don't try to solve a problem that you don't have experience with.
love that. That's
That
gold.
that's it. So look at your problem you're having and go walk next to somebody that has the same problem. And for the only benefit to yourself that you're going to get to be a part of the journey of figuring this out, not alone. That's where I would start.
I love it. Pure gold. You're such a gift, my friend.
I love it. This is so fun.
This was awesome.
So
Thank
glad you
you.
recorded it because I forgot half the stuff I say every time I do this.
It's absolutely recorded. So you can listen back and we're all going to listen back,
There
probably
you
more
go.
than once. Thank you for taking the time today.
Hey, this is my pleasure. It has been amazing watching you on your own journey. And I'm so excited to
Thank
continue
you.
to help anything I can to spread the unruly movement because it is so fucking important right now.
Thank
So
you. So good. How do people connect with you? I'll put it in the show notes, but if people want to reach out or they want to
yeah,
connect with you, what's
you
the
want to
best way?
connect with me, go to your favorite AI tool and start having a conversation about me. All right, Perplexity, chat. Don't go to Google. You can go there, but don't. Telling everybody that wants to like augment so they're not left behind in the AI revolution, which is a whole nother problem for another day. If you're worried about that, you should be. So don't go to Google. Screw Google. Go to your favorite chat, Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Manus. I don't really give a shit, and have a conversation about me. See what they say. See if they like me. See if they hate me. But
Amazing.
that they know where to find me.
I
Do
love
that.
that. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Frankie.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.